Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoil. I want to talk to you today about homemade dog food, but doing it cheaply. I'm getting contacted by a lot of people saying that they really do not like feeding their dog food and they want to do it homemade, but they can't afford it. And I don't think I'm clear enough about how I have to do it. I've got 3 dogs and I do not have a lot of money. I have to do it on a budget. So I want to tell you how I'm doing that. So the first thing is that I buy what I can frozen because I can get it frozen so much cheaper. So the 3 meats that I feed my dogs are salmon, turkey and chicken. Salmon I can get so much cheaper if I buy it frozen. There's no way I couldn't afford to feed my dogs. If you don't know me, I've got Humps, I've got a pickle boy up there, and I've got an Albert. You might be able to see the end half of him around there. But with the salmon, you can buy it frozen salmon fillets, really nice and so much cheaper. I could never afford to give them fresh salmon. Turkey I do buy fresh. I buy it minced and I get it from Aldi in the UK. And I buy it minced because I want the 2% one, because I want the lower fat one. Otherwise, I find turkey is too greasy for them, and that can cause all sorts of problems. So with the 2% turkey I get from Aldi, and sometimes they have that on special offer. So if they have it on special offer, then I will buy lots of it. I bought an extra freezer, which I know some people are going to say, well, I can't do that. I bought an extra freezer because we don't have a dishwasher. So I had the space to put the freezer in the dishwasher space, and that means that I've got a freezer, so if anything I see reduced, or if I see reduced meat anytime, I can put it in the freezer. So I do that with the turkey, and then the chicken. Now there's no way, chicken breast is really expensive in the UK. I couldn't afford to buy chicken breast, so I buy frozen chicken. Sometimes I buy the chicken breast, sometimes I buy thighs, but buying it frozen is so much cheaper. It's probably like a third of the price than if I was to buy it fresh. Vegetables are very important to dogs, very important. The meat is the most important thing, but vegetables is important because there's lots of nutrients that they need that they really can only get from vegetables. So I don't buy all of my vegetables frozen. Some I do buy fresh because I can get them for a decent price. But frozen is by far the cheapest way to go with the vegetables. If you don't know, if you look back a few videos ago, or just go to the playlist and go to feeding dogs, in there I have done dog nutrition training. I've researched it for years. If you know my channel, you know what an important part of my life dog nutrition is. And I found out all the vitamins and minerals that they need. And then I researched all the different foods that contain those. And whilst meat and fish is vital for dogs, it's vital that is a good 70% of their diet. There are nutrients and stuff they need that you will only get from certain berries and vegetables. And so I did a video going through that exact list of all the different vegetables and berries that I feed my dogs. And so a lot of them I buy frozen, and that saves me a lot of money. Berries, I find berries in the UK are really, really expensive. But frozen, I can get them so much cheaper, and that saves me a whole load of money. It also, with the vegetables and all the berries, it saves them going off because you don't have, I bulk cook once a week their vegetables, and so sometimes I'll have some left and they're not going to last the week. But by buying it frozen, nothing is getting thrown away. The other thing is the reduce section. If you go into a supermarket and you know when they do their reducing, that's a really great way to do it. But again, you probably do need, you're going to need to have the extra space in the freezer or whatever. Or if that's the day if you bulk cook for your dogs, and that's the day you do it, then sometimes I will go to the reduce section and see what they've got there. You can save loads of money on that. The most important thing though is, a lot of people say to me, well, I can't afford to feed them all of the meat and everything. I will use brown rice to fill it out. Please don't do that. Dogs are not meant to eat grains. So pasta, potatoes, any kind of rice. Even though brown rice might be better for us, it's not better for them. So no, nothing. All that should be in there is meat and vegetables. That's it. And the berries. There are other stuff as well, but no pasta, rice, potato, nothing. Don't fill it. If you cannot afford to feed them the meat, well, you do definitely need to feed them meat. But if you're going to fill it with anything, fill it with vegetables. But I've gone through all this in real detail. So you need 70% of meat or fish. And that's almost a minimum, really. You can, more than that is good. So I do 70% meat or fish, and then 30% of the vegetables and the berries. And I add supplements, and I did a whole video about that. And things like pumpkin seeds. I can't remember off the top of my head what nutrients they provide, but they provide some. I can't remember what it is now. I want to say copper, but it might not be. Don't quote me on that. But so I sprinkle some pumpkin seeds over their dinner. Cranberries, dried cranberries. I soak them. That's another thing. Is it manganese? I can't remember what it is. I haven't got my list with me, but I can't remember what it is. But all of that stuff that I give them is all researched, and it's definitely really, really good for them. And then I add stuff like calcium, green muscle, and all that lot of sorts of stuff. But I've done a whole video going in great detail about the supplements that I add. And with the supplements, if you buy ones that are ready made, so actually made, like for dogs by a company, that is going to cost you, and it's going to cost you quite a lot. If you buy the actual bags of supplements like I do, so I used to feed them turmeric tablets that came ready made for the dog, and now I don't do that. I stopped doing that because it was costing too much. So what I do now is I just buy it from Amazon, a big bag of turmeric, human grade turmeric, and a big bag of black pepper, because you need the black pepper to activate the turmeric. And that cost me really not much and lasts me a long, long time. Things like calcium, you can use eggshells. I don't. I just buy a great big bag of calcium carbonate powder, and I do that. And I go through all of that in the video, so it's worth watching if you don't know. But the point I wanted to make is I think people are under the illusion that I have a massive budget for this. I don't. I really don't. I have a restricted budget, and I have to stick to it. And that is what I do to make sure that I do stick to it. And I do it. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a time when I've gone over budget with them. And they all eat healthy. They do the 70% ratio of meat and then the veg. So they get a good amount of meat, good amount of fish. It's all good quality. And they're all really healthy. And I know they're not actually giving you a lot of action now. But I've got 3 dogs, and they come to me broken physically and mentally. And they're all really, really healthy on home cooked food. So I just wanted to make that point. Don't be thinking I can't afford to do it. I think you'll be surprised how, especially if you're feeding your dog on a grain-free dog food, especially a good quality grain-free dog food, you're going to be surprised, I think, because I used to feed them on a grain-free dog food. Good quality one, but it was a wet grain-free dog food. And it's cheaper for me now to feed them the home-cooked food than it was to feed it on that. It's actually a lot cheaper. So if you just sort of don't just write it off, and don't be thinking that it has to all be steaks and fresh vegetables. I mean, if you've got the money to do that, then great. But a little side note, if your dog's got itchy skin or hot spots, don't feed them beef. Beef and white fish trigger it. I cannot work out why, and I have researched it, but sorry, but it definitely does. Beef and white fish trigger hot spots. So yeah, don't be feeding them the steaks and stuff. But if you can't afford to be feeding them that kind of thing, then there are ways around it. If you've got any questions about this home cooking business or anything to do with dogs, hot spots, any of that, you know where I am. Just ask me and I'll help you. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram, but I'm not really doing a lot on Instagram at the moment. I'm mostly on TikTok. But if you can put stuff in here, can't you? So if you want to ask me a question. But I really, really recommend getting dogs onto homemade cooked food. Get them away from the additives and the preservatives. And I'm not going to tell you, but honestly, the more research I do about this, the stuff they're putting in dog food, really, I highly recommend you get onto homemade cooked food. And I also know that it's daunting and it's scary and you can think you're going to do it all wrong, because I've been there, lived through that, researched it all, learnt it, did it, made the odd mistake. And I'm in a really, really happy place with it now. My boys are really, really happy. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.